The best compact cameras can rival DSLRs and mirrorless cameras for both image quality and features. The key difference is that they have non-removable lenses, and while this limits their versatility somewhat, for many photographers it's worth it. A compact camera is smaller and lighter, and can go with you everywhere, to places you just wouldn't take a proper camera. Cramming a DSLR-sized sensor into a compact camera body is only part of the technical challenge, since the size of a camera lens tends to be in proportion to the sensor. So, Canon has done remarkably well to design and manufacture a 3x optical zoom lens that retracts when the camera's not in use, and adds only a little to the overall thickness. When extended, though, the 15 to 45 mm lens offers an effect 24 to 72 mm zoom range, with a maximum aperture of f/2.8 to 5.6. The zoom range is identical to the retracting 15 to 45 mm kit lenses sold with Canon's EOS M series mirrorless cameras, but this version is much more compact. The PowerShot G1X Mark III's lens is a non-interchangeable lens, however, so while this presumably gave the designers a little more leeway for miniaturization, it does make it a little more limited. The PowerShot G1X Mark III's sensor is one of Canon's dual-pixel CMOS AF designs, which uses a split-pixel system to offer faster phase detection autofocus. Indeed, Canon claims an AF response of just 0.09 seconds. You can choose from one of 49 autofocus points or use a broader zone focus mode, and you can move the AF point by touch and drag operation on the touch-sensitive LCD display. Manual focus is also available, as are focus peaking and focus bracketing. You can compose images using either the 3" vari-angle display on the back or via the 2,360K OLED electronic viewfinder. This viewfinder is centrally mounted on the top of the camera, which makes the PowerShot G1X Mark III look a little like a baby DSLR. It's especially impressive that Canon has managed to incorporate a vari-angle screen without making the body feel chunky. The RX107 gives little hint of its power from the outside. It's barely bigger than a regular point-and-shoot compact, though when you power it up and the lens extends, it's a slightly different story, especially when you zoom right the way to 200 mm. The body has a semi-matte black finish which is a little slippery, and there's no grip on the front to help you keep a secure hold. There is an electronic viewfinder but it's hidden. You slide a switch on the side of the camera to pop it up, then push it back down into the body when you're done. It's clever, but it also feels like an unnecessary complication. Wouldn't it be better if the body was just a little bit wider so that it wasn't needed? The mode dial on the top of the camera is small but works well, and the same can be said of the combined control dial and 4-way controller on the back. All the buttons and levers are tiny, so it's fine if you have delicate digits, but not so good for those with big hands. The limited space for external controls means there's a heavy reliance here on the menu system, touchscreen display and FN/quick menu button. Sony has done well to make this camera's complex array of functions reasonably accessible, but this does feel like a camera whose capabilities have long since outstripped its physical design. The 1-inch sensor is a bit step up in size from the smaller sensors in smartphones and point-and-shoot cameras, and the Zeiss branding on the 24 to 200 mm lens promises premium performance. You don't quite get it. At short to medium zoom settings the image quality is pretty good, but at full zoom detail is disappointingly soft. If your main interest is stills photography, the RX100 Mark VII is an average camera at a high price. The CyberShot RX10 IV is Sony's latest high-end bridge camera, aimed at the enthusiast who wants an advanced all-in-one camera that doesn't compromise on performance. It wasn't long ago that bridge cameras were a dirty word in photography. They may have looked like DSLRs, but their performance and image quality were anything but. But, thanks to the likes of the original CyberShot RX10, with its 1-inch sensor, that all changed. 4 generations on we arrive at the RX10 IV, and while at first glance it may appear that little has changed from the RX10 III, Sony has furnished its latest camera with a host of new features. Packing a long, fast zoom lens, large sensor, and performance that, on paper at least, would make some advanced DSLRs blush. Is this the ultimate bridge camera? Like the previous generations of the RX10 series, the RX10 IV sports a 20.1 MP 1.0-inch sensor, but takes advantage of Sony's latest Exmor RS CMOS stacked sensor design. This, combined with the Bion's X-image processor borrowed from the Alpha A9 and front-end LSI, delivers a serious bump in performance. The RX 10-4 keeps the same 2.35 million EVF, but the arrival of the new Bions X processor means display lag during continuous shooting has been improved. The 3.0-inch tilt-angle display has also been revised, with resolution getting a modest boost to 1.44 million dots, while touch functionality is now featured, with touch focus supported. There are several new features on the X100V, so let's start with the lens. Fujifilm acknowledges that the original 23mm f/2 lens needed an update to do justice to the latest sensors, and says the new lens offers better resolution and lower distortion. You can't change lenses on this camera, but you can use Fujifilm's optional WCL X102 wide conversion lens to get a 28mm equivalent focal length, or the TCL X102 teleconversion lens for 50mm equivalent. It's also possible to attach an optional RX100 adapter ring and the PRF49 protection filter to make the camera weather resistant. We're told that the camera is largely weather resistant already, and it's just the lens needs the extra protection. Inside, the X100V now has Fujifilm's latest 26.1 megapixel APS-C X-Trans 4 back illuminated sensor. This has a modest 2 megapixel increase in resolution over the previous model, but the chief advantage is a big improvement to the autofocus system, faster processing speeds and the 4K video capabilities. Video features are becoming ever more important for photographers and content creators, and the X100V can capture 4K at the usual 30/25/24p frame rates, but also 1080 Full HD footage at up to 120 fps. And for more advanced filmmaking, it can record 10-bit 4:2:2 quality video to an external recorder via its HDMI port. The hybrid optical/electronic viewfinder has been upgraded in the X100V, but the biggest change to the viewing system is round the back of the camera, where the old model's fixed screen has been replaced by a tilting touchscreen display. From a distance, the X100V looks just like the previous cameras in this series. It's no smaller in width or height than the average mirrorless camera, but much slimmer. The 23mm f/2 lens protrudes only a small distance from the body, and this is a camera you could easily keep in a coat pocket. The Leica Q is one of the best-selling cameras in Leica's illustrious history. And even after nearly 4 years on sale, the camera is still backordered. The Q2 immediately replaces its predecessor, and it is clear that Leica wanted to give a genuine upgrade to the camera without changing the basic concept. A key point is the Summilux 28mm f/1.7 wide-angle lens remains exactly the same. Unusually for a compact, this offers full manual focus control, along with distance scales, and a special macro mode. But you can also use this lens in a range of autofocus modes too. In AF or MF, there are a wide range of features to ensure that your target area is in sharp focus. Peak focusing is undoubtedly one of the most useful for this, but there is auto magnification too. And in AF the options include the super useful face detection mode. Although the lens is fixed, so there is no zoom, and no chance to upgrade your optics, you do get a set of crop options. You can shoot at an effective 35mm, 500mm and 75mm setting, with a corresponding drop in resolution to 30MP, 14.7MP and 6.6MP respectively. You could of course simply crop the image in camera instead, but it is a neat option to have for social media posting, for example. Unlike the Leica Q, the Q2 now offers 4K video shooting. You get a choice of standard 4K format. You get a choice of 30 fps or 24 fps frame rates with 4K, but just 24 fps with C4K. Switch down to Full HD, and you get useful slow-mo options of 120 fps or 60 fps. Another neat addition to the Leica Q2 is that it is now dust and weather protected, conforming to the IP52 standard. The waterproofing is made more remarkable by that the Q2 now uses the same BPSCL4 battery as the Leica SL, which you simply push down to remove, without the need to open a protective door.